Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good wherever you are. Welcome to the first video on this channel for Learn Bricks for WordPress. I am JP, I'm your friendly host, will bring you all the videos in this channel. You may have joined us all the way from the Websites for Beginners channel. A little bit quickly before we continue. Originally, I thought of putting everything from all the page builders I'm interested in and all the other apps that I use for that in one channel. But it bothered me that there isn't any cohesiveness there. If you are a person who exclusively uses Elementor, or you prefer Oxygen, or in this case Bricks, you don't want to be bothered with the other page builders and other stuff, right? Sometimes you want to know a little bit, but if you keep getting notifications about all the other things happening, in the end, you just tune it out. And it bothered me, so I decided to go back to one of my original plans, and that is to open individual channels. This is the first one, then for Bricks. I'll talk more about that, but today, let's start building out a little bit in Bricks with the focus on newcomers and beginners to show you how you can create websites, web pages in Bricks. Absolute awesome builder. Now, I'm running currently Bricks 1.4, the release candidate, which means it is not an official release. If I go to my plugins, you can download this from your account, not plugins, to my themes. And of course, Bricks does not come free, but there is a sandbox online builder that you can play around for free if you want to know how it works. Otherwise, follow along with these videos and you'll get an idea of what you can do. So this is a release candidate. It's not released yet, but I saw they told us on the Facebook forum within a week or two, and I think today is that day, and then some other new big releases coming soon. So as these new releases come out, I will do some update videos here. I like to build out stuff so you can see how the builder works, but with this channel, we want to go beyond that as well, bringing you some WooCommerce, blogging, giving you all the solutions that you need. Today, we're going to start building out a landing page for an engagement site / wedding. Hopefully, engagement leads to wedding for most people. And what we want to achieve with this landing page is that you have a little bit of photos and stuff for your wedding there or your engagement. And then people can come there and they can RSVP on your site, whether they will be attending your wedding or not, or will they just be sending you big cash through the mail. Not mail, please. Send it through the phone. We will start with the hero, and I've chosen something very basic so that we can really get the basics down of Bricks. And then as we build out other landing pages in days and weeks and years to come, I will increase the level of complexity so that we can really push Bricks to its full power. Let's go and create a new page. I'll just go to Pages, Add New. And shall we just call this Engagement Page? If not, why not? Engagement. Yeah, let's just call it engagement. Let's call it engagement landing page. Make it all the way there and publish. And I'll just deselect always show pre-published checks because I'm a cowboy. And then from here, we select edit with Bricks. The idea behind the Let's Build This is I'm not going to explain each and everything I do each and every time. I believe in a copy and do system. The more you copy what people do, the more you get to understand what's going on, and eventually you can assimilate it and then you can adjust it to your style. But within this, I'll insert a little bit here and there. Again, this is a release candidate, so some of here and there I see a little few things going wrong. That could be the release candidate, it could be a bug, but the developers at Bricks, these guys are super awesome. They are really quick to respond to iron out those wrinkles. What we need to do in Bricks is bring in a section, and then we want to bring in elements for this very basic hero section that we're going to design. Now, in the past, and Bricks actually were one of them, just as they were released, we were used to things like a section element, then we perhaps had a row, or the row and the section was the same thing, and then we had columns. And now, as things are changing in the world of design, everyone is moving towards a container, aka the Flex system. And you will see here in the elements sidebar on the left that we start with a container. You can also see that you have the option here on the canvas, insert container. And note next to it, you have Insert Layout. If you click on that, it's going to give you a few options from where you can start. Now, during the release candidate, as I was playing around with this one, sometimes this works a little bit wonky. It looks different and then it doesn't work. But now it works for this video, so you can see we have a full width section. And that's what we want. We want a big image in the background. We want it full width. And then we want that inside one column container. So you can see it really gives us an idea of how it's going to look. So let's play with this one, and in the future I'll show you how to create it from scratch, because it's not that intuitive if you've never worked with a flex container or the flex layout. Click on full width section, and what happens here is that Bricks drops in 2 containers. Yeah, they're called containers. On the right, you will see here under structure, this shows you a little bit of a layout view, a navigator of what is on your page. You're going to work here a lot. If you don't want to see this, click up here on this icon and take it away. It gives you a little bit more real estate. I'm working on a very big monitor, so I'll just leave it open there all the time. This word section here, Bricks gave you by default. It's not how it will start out. It's also a container. You can call it a section container. To select that container, you have a number of ways of doing that. As you hover here on the page, you will see that the main container, the section, is always orange outline. And then you can hover here in the bottom left and you will see that little pencil. And by clicking on that, it will select the section and it will open the sidebar with the content and styling options for that section container. Important here, you will see these little yellow dots. That shows you where Bricks, the developers, have already made some adjustments for you. They made this a pre-made section, and they've done that by designating this as a section through the HTML tag. Click on this and you will see you have a number of options here. It usually starts out as a div. This case, because it's your main container, we leave it at section. And they've aligned it to stretch, and then they've aligned whatever is inside that to the center. And whatever is inside of that at the moment is another container, and that's this one. Many times this is referred to a row in places like Divi, or it's just a one column, basically one column. I used to think columns must be 2, but of course a column can also just be 1. And this is where you have your bounding area of where things will appear. This time selecting the section, click here in the structure on it. It will then also select it for you. Anything regarding style, which is typography, spacing, color, all happens here under style. And then you can see here very nicely background and then select image. We need to bring in an image. I've already loaded this image in here. Select insert and boom, it drops it in there. Now we have to adjust a few things here of this image. And the first thing I will do is put on the background position, top left, center, center. Now this is where I don't know how difficult this is or whether it brings in more bloat or whatever. But I just think this kind of setting where you have to select it this way feels so outdated to me. I would really like to have a little bit more control here, either a focal point selector or something where I can put the left and top percentages like we have in Oxygen. That would be super awesome because I really care about my images and I really want that focal point 100% where I want it. But we can get away with this. We have our lovely couple there. It is Mike and Della. Hello, Mike and Della. And we need them the center focus of this image. And then background size. By default, it is at cover, and that's the best place to usually have 90+% of your pictures. We'll also make this hero section full height, and that is sizing and spacing, and you'll find that under layout. Here are a number of fields, and you will just love it. It may scare you if you come from page builders where this kind of setting is very limited, but we'll go through it and you'll get used to it. I'm still learning, and it's always great to get good ideas from people in the community. What we want is a full height section or something that stretches all the way in the monitor from the top to the bottom. That you're going to do here under height. And actually, Bricks gives you a little clue there. If you hover over the eye, set to 100 VH for full height, and VH stands for viewport height. Viewport is a big name for the display area within your browser, not your screen, within your browser. So this area here, I can actually grab my, okay, all the way from here to there. This is my viewport, and viewport height will then be everything from here at the bottom all the way to here. And we measure that in viewport height, which is basically a percentage. So 100 viewport height is 100% from the bottom to the top, or from the top to the bottom. As simple as that. We go over here then and first select the unit in which we want to work, and that will be the VH for viewport height. Bricks gives us all the units that they can think of. Few of them are applicable here. You're going to probably work with pixels, percentage, and viewport height in this specific case. The others are a little bit misleading, but you know, just stick to what we show you here. Now we've put it on viewport height as a measurement unit and type in 100. Just to show you now, it's a totally full, all the way from the top to the bottom in the viewport. If I type in 50 and double click, let me double click again, type in 50, you'll see it covers 50% of the viewport height. Let's put it back on 100 because this is where we want it to display nice and full on the screen. And that's our layout. So collapse this, and I will apply an overlay to this so that we can put some text over it and get contrast. In the sidebar, select Gradient Overlay, and then Apply to. You have the option from a background, overlay, or text. We want an overlay, so it should actually be grammatically apply as an overlay or apply to the overlay. And now we choose a color. Click here, Add Color. This is the default color scheme that bricks give you. Nice, colorful, a good place to start with. And you've got all the tools here that you can go and create your colors with. I do miss a color picker. A color picker is that little square where you have the light and then the dark, and you have a gradient range and you can just drag it around. I've gotten used to that. Not the end of the world. I can make it work here. What I want is a white color, but what I also want to do is to create a palette of my own from the very beginning. That's very easily done here in Bricks. So at the bottom here where it says default, I will go to create new palette. And then let me just scroll a little bit. Okay, give it a new name. I'll call it engagement, LP for landing page. And then over here, not import. So we select create. And now after I've done that, it removes all the other colors at the top and says, add your first color to this palette by selecting a color value above and then click Save. I want white. So here in the hex field, and you can also select RGB, HSL, stick to hex for now. I know that the code for white is FFF, so I'll just type that in. And now click here on Save to bring this color into my palette. Boom. So I've locked it in, and where's my image now? So we have to reduce the opacity. Click again on the color, and then here, transparency, we increase it, and I'll drop it to around, let's put it on 0.75. Where you see that A, this is basically a percentage of how opaque and transparent the image is. 0.75 you can translate as 75% opacity, which means it's 25% transparent. Those are not real terms, but that's how I like my brain to think about it. It's very useful in this regard. Now we've locked in this white color, we've changed the transparency, and we have our image coming through in the back, and we've set up our hero section with a great hero image in the back. All our friends will know who is Mike and who is Della. Next up, we're going to bring in a heading, and we'll bring in a subheading, and then we'll bring in a button that will serve as a RSVP button for people to reply whether they're going to attend the engagement/wedding, yes or no. Nice call to action. For that, we will access the Elements menu, and that is done up here in the toolbar with this plus. Whenever you see that plus and you click on it, you get back to the elements sidebar. And there are quite a number of elements here. My request here will be, because my mouse is a little bit broken, the up scroll is not working. I have to put it on that function where it slides up and down, which I don't like. Need to go get myself a new mouse very soon. I love the fact that I can collapse it. I do have a request, which I will maybe say in each and every video until I bore everyone. If there is a collapse all function up here, that would be super great, because maybe I want to go down here at single, and when they're all open, I need to scroll up and down all the time. And I would also like to have an option in the settings for the dashboard that by default have them all closed. I just know what I want to work with, so no reason for me to have them displayed like Elementor does, and when you have add-ons per add-ons, it's like a mile long and you never know where you're going to find something. In that case, of course, you're going to do it here with search elements, but we'll do that later. Let's open the basic stuff, because 80% of the time, this is where we are going to be working. I want to bring in a heading. How do I do that within Bricks? Again, there are a number of ways, almost 3 of them at the moment in this 1.4 release candidate. The one that I'm used to is click and drag. So I click here and I drag and I take it onto that section with the container, and you see that thick yellow line, and I'll drop it there and in comes my heading. Now take a look here at your structure. You see your main section, your container, and then you have the heading element that appears within that. One within the other, within the other. Let's undo that. You see the undo button up here. Select undo. Another way to bring in elements, which is once you start doing it, it becomes really easy to do so, is to select a container in which you want to bring in the element. And that's going to be this blue one. So I can simply click here, or I can select over here in the structure. Now I go to elements, and instead of dragging, just click on heading. Boom. And it drops in by itself. You can see, there it is again. With 1.4, there's an interesting one that's coming in. Let's undo again. And that is to grab the element and drag it into the structure over here. Did you see that? Let me undo that and show you again. Grab the element and drag it into the structure. And you see I can put it under the container. Or if I grab it here where I have the little compass arrows and I drag it a little to the right, it will drop it right in the container the way we did previously. A number of ways to do it. And actually you also have now wrap in a container. We'll talk about that in the future. But here we go. We have our heading. Let's work with this, and then we bring in the other 2 elements a little bit later. To select the text, hover over the text. And what I do, the easiest way for me is to triple click. 1, 2, 3. When you have a sentence, triple click selects everything. When you have a word, double click will select that word. And when you just click, it enters the cursor into the text. Because I want to change everything, I triple click. You can also use Control A, Command A on your keyboard. And we type in the name. It's Mike, and Della. Shall we call her Bella? Let's stick to Della. And now we've entered the text. To make changes, that's all done here on the side. Let's first click here on content to see what's happening over here. You can enter the text here under the settings for the heading, or you can do it like we did. And then your tag you assign through this way. I'm going to make this an H2. I probably could make it H1 as well. One of those few cases. And as it's a landing page, let's feel fresh and go for a H1. And the rest you leave for now. Style is where we change font settings, size, spacing, the works. You'll see over here we have typography, select that, and we change our color to a darker charcoal type of theme. I have my Word document over here, and you can see I've set up the headings, the text that I'll be using, as well as the colors. And then for the text, I have what I call dark bronze. I came up with that all by myself. And I'll select this hex code over here. Let's go back. So I'll choose the color. And then here within the hex box, Control V, and I'll also save this color to bring it in. And that is the color that I want to use. Make sure I've selected it. Yes, I've selected it. Choose the font family, and here we're going to work with Comforta. Then select that. Font weight, I'll put on 500, though it won't make a big difference. And then where is my font size? Up here. I should have started here. Actually, let me just delete that. We're going to go for a big one, 96 pixels. Nice. One thing that I do with headings from the very start, and that is to remove this space at the bottom and the top. That is line height. Line height is the amount of space that is applied at the bottom and the top of text. And that's useful in paragraphs, but in headings, you don't need it. I remove it because I'm used to not having it. So I know exactly how much space I have to apply between elements. And yes, I'm going to apply space, but I prefer to do that with padding or margins. Line height, we measure in EM. So I'll select EM and I'll put it on 1. You can't go lower than 1. You can go higher than 1, but your line height is always 1, which is a 1-to-1 ratio of your typography size, which in this case is 96 pixels. And I believe, Bob, that's it. So we are good to go here. Let's close this and let's save our work and see how this looks on the front end currently. Saving is super nice. Bricks gave us a Control S, Command S from the beginning. We didn't have to beg for it, but you can also go up here to the top right hand corner and select Save. And then, like I said, the shortcut key, Control Command S, hit that, and you will every time save get this little pop-up that will tell you something good to inspire you for the rest of the day. The preview in Bricks is also super awesome. Next to the save, you have the preview mode. You can select this, but there's a much easier shortcut key, and that is Control P, Command P. That puts you in the preview mode, so you will see how it will look on the front end. Not 100% effective all the time. You sometimes still need to go and preview it on the front end as if you are a visitor. And for that, you have this little open up view on front end selector, and this is how it looks on the front end. Absolutely horrendous. So let's make it look better. Close it out, and you're still in preview here. And to exit it, you can select back to builder, or on your keyboard, Control Command P, and we're back in the builder. Now hold on tight if you've never worked with the flex concept. What we want is for this text to be in the middle center of this section. And to do that, we have to give the containers a number of instructions. Let's put it in the middle first. And this text element or heading element is in the container. So we have to tell it that within the container, you have to be in the center. And we don't tell the heading element that, we tell the container where to place things within the container. Click on the container, or you select it up here, and then under content, here is where we go to these scary looking options, which once you get used to it, you're gonna love it. All you need to know is that you want to put the content within the container in the center. And that is done here, align cross axis. Center, boom, it moves to the center. These two, the main axis and the cross axis, relates to all the content inside of that container. Next, we also want to align the container to be in the middle. And that we have to instruct the section. So we go to the section, select that, or select up here, and you will see that we have main axis, which is all the way from top to bottom, and this one will put us in the center. If you've never done that, I recommend do everything what we've done up to this point. Play around with these things. You can't break it. Just begin to get a feel for how these alignments work. They are super awesome. And I know Elementor just brought in a container. They still have a long way to go. Once you are used to this and you're used to how the elements work, you get all that flexibility. Get used to it. It's lovely. Now we have everything in the middle. Let's go and view it again. So first thing, save, Control Command S, then preview, Control Command P. And now it looks the way we want it to look. exit it by Control-Command-P. Bring in the next text. To bring in the next text element, select the one that you're working on, this one, heading, and go to the plus elements and simply click on heading. And you will see it will drop it under it within the container. And the proof is in the pudding. You can look here in the structure area. This heading is under that one. You can change the names of these headings so they are more easily recognizable. If you want to select them in the future, you can call this your main heading, or you can even call it Mike and Della. And then this one here, you can call it subtitle. This is up to you. This is how you organize your stuff. I like to give my containers names. It makes it very clear what I'm working with, especially if I come back after eons, I have some idea of what's going on here. Let's first select the text, triple click, and then I will change it. Let's go and change it here in the editor on the left. I select I am a heading, and then I will type in here, are getting married. If you want paragraph, you cannot use the heading element. You will have to use the text, basic text for that. If you want to designate this as a paragraph, which it should be, let's rather do that. I'll click on it and it drops it in here. So I'll delete this one, and how we delete it, you can right click. It's the simplest way. There are a number of ways of deleting an element. The easiest though is right clicking. You get the context menu, super nice little features here. Let's do that again. Click outside, hover over the element you want to delete, right click and select delete. That is truly the easiest way of doing it. There are a number of other ways of doing it. Just learn the quickest, the easiest, the soonest. And I do know I say that each of us have our own different working style. I'll show you also how to delete a different few other ways in upcoming videos. Let's triple click to select all the text again. 1, 2, 3. And you will see in the inspector on the left, you also have the option here in this text toolbar to type in the text. So we type in again, what was it? Are getting married. And if you get divorced, please let us know. Are getting married. And now your HTML tag, you're going to put on a P for paragraph. That's just a little bit of text there. SEO won't pay much attention to that. So that's why I say if it's just like this, rather use the, what is this one called again? The basic text. Let's select it again. And we go back to the basic text and select style. Typography, color, and we put it on the same dark bronze, that's what I call it. And in font size, type in 20. Then from our font family, we're going to use Open Sans for this one. Select Open Sans. Font weight, I'll also put it on 500 just to lock it in. And my line height, like I told you, I prefer to always use 1M for headings. In this case, I want all of these letters uppercase. You can type it in as uppercase, but you can go to text transform here. You have capitalize, uppercase, lowercase, as well as none, and we'll go to uppercase. The effect I want to create here is a little bit of more spacing. So I'll go to letter spacing, keep it on pixels, and I'll type in 7. We get this kind of effect. To add a tad of spacing between our main heading and this subheading, I will bring it in through margins. And you can do it either with this one or the one at the bottom. Let's go for our heading. Select it by clicking in it and then hover over the bounding box. I'll take the cursor here so you can see it better. If you hover slightly inside of it, you'll see that green box appears, and that is your padding. If you hover slightly outside of it, that is your margin, and I want margin. Click, hold, and drag, and that's going to add space. And if you notice carefully there in the middle, you will see it runs through all the numbers. And it's not that difficult to get to the number you want, but in case you want it exactly at increments of 5, which is preferable, all you do is hold in Shift on your keyboard, and now you drag, and you will see every time it jumps in intervals of 5. And I'll bring it to around 35 if I can. My hand is very slippery. I blame it on the mouse. 35 and let go. And now we've added some space. You can also do that manually within the settings of this element that we've just adjusted, which is our main heading. Select it, go to Style, and you will see that Layout now automatically has that little yellow dot, which tells us that we've made changes to it from the default. Select Layout, and you see here under Margin, bottom has 35 pixels, same as that. You can make those changes here. What happens if you click on this little yellow dot? That will restore the default values and take away the 35 pixels. So click on it and it's gone. But now simply you can type in 35 here. Very nice. Next, we'll bring in a call to action, which will be our RSVP, which is a button. I will select the last element I've worked on, then go to Elements, and then simply click on Button, and it will drop it in. To select the text in the button, triple click on it, and then we can go to Content and change the text here in the inspector, or you can do it on the preview screen. I will type in RSVP. And then we have options here for size. Currently it's set to default, which I think is medium. Let's take it away. It's medium. But you can put it on small, you can put it on large, and you can put it on extra large. Let's put it on medium to start with, or let's rather go for large. And then you also have styles here, something we'll deep dive in upcoming videos. You can add it as a circle or an outline. Let's leave it for what it is now. And at the end, when we've completed this landing page, I will come back to link type because we want to link this to the RSVP form that will appear at the bottom of this landing page. I want to add an icon, so click here and then select library. I dislike this, similar to what I've seen in Oxygen, that you are looking for an arrow, but if you look in the wrong library, it's not going to show you anything. Then you have to go to the next one. You have to type in the word again. Yeah, I dislike that. But anyway, that's the way life is. Let's go to, which one did I use? Font Awesome Solid. And type in here, search icons, arrow, and then select this one. Yep, that's the one I used. I wish that there was an all function for the fonts. Wish that, not there. Maybe nothing we can do about that. This can really sometimes annoy me, icons, in every builder almost. The position you have left and right, we want to keep it on right. And you have here under typography, sizing of that icon. We'll leave it just as is. Go to style and the first thing we do is change the background of the button. Collapse the layout and go to background and we choose here color. Oh, you can even put an image on the button if you want to. I'll bring in the third color of my styling theme. So I'll go to my Word document and this one is this rose bronze. Go back and then we'll paste it in hex. And then I'll lock it in by saving it and there is my color. We can apply a hover effect for a different color. And to do that, ensure that you have selected the element for which you want the hover to apply. And then up here in the toolbar where you see the arrow, you go to states and you select hover. Huge warning here. I'm not sure what Bricks will do in the future to help us here, but I've now many times forgotten I'm working in the hover state. I'll go around editing. Later when I come back, like, where is my work? And then I was still in the hover state. I wish there was a massive queue to let me know I'm working in the hover state. So when I'm done, I can go back to the default state. But it's something that I would recommend you do and immediately go back to default. Otherwise, you're screwed, Johnny. So select or create pseudo class over here. And when you click in it, it's going to give you the three options and we will select hover. Now you know you're in hover, the yellow is there. I think that's supposed to be good enough, but when I go into La La Land, there's no way coming back from that. We want to change the background color again. So click here and now we choose the darker version. Select outside, deactivate hover and you can test it. And we will need to change the color of the font. So let's go to typography, change the color first. And I'll put it on 18 18 pixels. And font family, we'll also put on Open Sans. Nah, let's put it on Comforta. Comforta. Great. And then font weight, 500. And I will put the letter spacing on pixels. And let's put it on 3, give it a little bit of space. Now we add space between our subtitle and the button. Again, that is done with margin. So I'll select the button this time, hover at the top just outside where you see the green and click and drag. And I'll bring it in at around 85. I'll hold shift on my keyboard while dragging to give me those increments of 5 and let go. Pretty good. I don't like though how the button is looking at this moment. I need a little bit more padding. And the reason I'll recommend to go for more padding is because Google and the other search engines really look at the size of buttons, especially on handheld devices when you're looking at cell phones. If that button is too small and people cannot press it very well, you will get a slight penalty for that. And if you make small little buttons, especially on your mobile devices, and you do a little bit of speed testing, you will often get this, that your links are too small. Remember, some people have very clumsy hands. So to make it really accessible, you have to make your buttons a little bit bigger and don't hide it away. Desktop, it's okay, but once we go to mobile devices, a little bit bigger. Now, what I found is that there is a line height applied to the text within the button. So having selected it, if you go to typography, you go to line height, and remember I told you I like to work in M, my personal preference, and I type in 1, the following happens. Boom, everything disappears. I'm okay with that. I'm going to bring in that space with padding. That gives me far better control over what I want to do. So I'll select layout, and then from padding, I'll start at the top, and I think I'll put in 20. And then next, I'll go to the right, and I'll put in 35. Bottom 20, and then left 35. So you can see I like to make my buttons much bigger. Because of this arrow, and this is just illusion, because of the arrow here hanging on the right, it looks as if there is more space in the button on the right than on the left. That's not true. They're both 35. But it looks like it's bigger. It looks a little bit uneven. So to balance that out, I'm going to go to the left, and I'll just increase that a little bit. Where are we now? To 40. So I've added 5 pixels here on the left just to make it feel a little bit more even. I know that's overthinking it. That's part of what I do. Let's save it. Control S, Command S, and then preview, Control P, Command P. There we go. That's it. No, that's not it. That's just the beginning. Because you know we have to go and work on mobile displays. Before we do that, let me grab this link that we have here. Control copy, and then I'll open Sizzy, which is my developer tool. And I use Sizzy just to look at how my website will display on different devices to make sure I get it to be 100% or at least as close as possible ready for devices like mobile devices, tablets, and different kinds of monitor. I have a Galaxy S20 loaded here, an iPad, MacBook Air, and then I have a HD display here at the bottom. So let's paste in the link for this landing page and see how it looks currently. And I think we are confident it's going to look pretty good on our, which is this one. Let's focus quickly here. This is our HD display. No problem here. And we can see there's a hover effect as well. Great. Exit the focus. And then on the MacBook Air, we're pretty confident it's going to look there the way we want it to look. And if you look here over at tablet, can't complain. Tablet looks good. But here on our mobile device, definitely we need to make changes. It's a little bit crowded and these two are lost behind the text. To do that, we go to the responsive design and Bricks does a pretty decent job. Kudos. In the editor, here at the top is where your responsive displays are. A few things I would really love to see here. However, I am not going to be too picky because the job is well done. You select tablet portrait, and that's going to give you the tablet view. And if we look here at Sizzy, that's not portrait, that is landscape view. But if you wanted the portrait, let's just flip it quickly. Yeah, that looks good. I'm not going to complain. And because we have set the section to 100% viewport height, it will stretch all the way from the top to the bottom. I'm happy with this. So let's go to, oh, this was mobile. That is tablet. Mobile. Speak through my back in mobile then. Now, this is where we want to make a few changes. I want you to pay attention to a few things, and I know it's going to feel to you like, but you said no coding. Yes, I'm pretty sure this is no coding, but I want you to start thinking of it. You will see the width of this screen is 477 pixels and the height is 850 pixels. You can work with that, but there are so many devices on the market that is much narrower than this 477 pixels. And I like to design for the smaller ones to make sure it looks okay. Otherwise, you may end up with something that looks like this, or even a word that has different letters on different lines. We know that Bricks has on the roadmap more breakpoints, and that will allow you to add more breakpoints you can design for more devices. Apparently, it's not as easy for that just to be there, but it's something in the works. To get around this though, you can change the display size of this preview that you have here. If I look here at the device, I'm looking at this Galaxy S20, I see it's 360 at 800. Let's go here, and then next to width, 360, and then height, 800. Now this is where I wish I had a lock button that I can lock this in, so next time when I come back, I will have my 360 by 800 again. But pay attention, when I click here on desktop and I go back to my mobile portrait, it reverts back to the 477. Let's put it back on 380 by 800. What did I do now? 380, enter, okay. And this one, 800, enter. Everything you do now will not affect any of the other displays. It won't affect tablet and it won't affect your desktop. The first thing I want to do is that I want to ensure that this is a little bit smaller. So I'll just click somewhere in there to get the settings on the left to appear. And we go to Style, Typography, and you'll see it's at 96. Let's half that. Let's put it at 48. Yep, immediately it looks better. I will just make sure that the text is aligned to center in case, if we make it a little bit bigger, let's put it on something like 64. If it breaks, then we will still have it in center. If it was on the left, this will happen. We want to keep it in the center, so I'll do that, and I'll put it on 48. Are getting married, let's select that, and it's currently at 20. I'll put it on 16, and I will reduce the letter spacing to what? 1? Let's check on 1. Yeah, that looks good. And this is all I'm going to do. You see that I'm not going to make the button smaller based on that little sermon I gave you earlier as to why you shouldn't make the button too small. Let's save it. Control Command S. Grand. And let's go to Sizzy. Control Command R to refresh the page and see how it will look here on our Galaxy S20. Magnificent. Let's go and reduce a little bit of space between Mike and Della. The text not in their lives. I will reduce, click there on the margin, and I'll drag it. Not doing anything for me. Let's try again. Nope. Yeah. Okay, let's go to Style, Layout, and then over here, I'll drop it to 15 pixels. Let's take it away. Put it on Delete. Put it on 10. Save it, Control Command S. Go to Sizzy. And this should only take effect on the mobile device. Lovely. That looks really good. And we can preview it on the rest. No mess, no fuss. Before we end off this video, and we'll build out the rest of the sections in the upcoming Let's Build videos for this landing page, a few things I just want to mention here. We've brought in the heading, and you can actually go before the time and set this up under themes. You can create all of these, your typography, the sizes, beforehand as a style, as a global style, so that you don't have to go and select it each and every time and then change the fonts. And I will show you how to do that. There is really a lot of functions in Bricks. There's so much going on behind the scenes. It's a splendid tool to work with. You get really excited when you work with Bricks. The developers are great. These guys are very responsive, and we've seen this product grow since it's been released exponentially. A lot more to come, and I'm really happy to see how they respond to the community. I remember a few features I had thrown out there last year, and they immediately did that. That's great stuff. Hopefully we can cover most of the stuff in the upcoming videos and then some more. From me, JP, go well and stay safe.